Hello, everyone. Let me introduce myself and my team and the topic we are going to discuss today. So, myself, Gautam Reddy. Here I am with my team, and my team members are Akanksha, Sharanya, Bhargav, and Ahmed. And today we are going to discuss about the identifying the SQL vulnerabilities using SQL maps and accessing the database without the permission. So, while coming to the abstract, we all know how many cybercrimes are growing every day, and the value of information data has grown. So it's our duty and responsibilities to keep our data safe and secure. So before releasing any product into the real world environment, we should go through all testings and check all the vulnerabilities of our website. So we are here mainly finding our SQL vulnerabilities of the product we are going to build and releasing into the real world environment. So for this, we by doing this, we can keep our websites very secure and be reduced from the data breaches. So while coming to the introduction, SQL injections are nothing but the loopholes of the SQL codes that are built for running the databases. So these hackers are gone access into these databases unauthorizedly using these vulnerabilities. So by SQL injections, we can find out the those vulnerabilities, and we can work on building our code more logically and secure. Next slide, please. So always these security developers or the security specialist needs to be worked regularly on this, finding out the vulnerabilities and loopholes in their codes, especially before releasing into the real world. So I'm going to discuss more about the tools and the language programming languages we are used in these SQL vulnerabilities. Next slide, please. So while coming to the tools, at present time we have got many tools for checking out these SQL vulnerabilities. Different companies are going with the different tools. So here we mentioned some of the tools we made included while doing our progress. So AppsCon, Burp site, and these are some of the sites. OpenVS, these are mainly used for these finding out the SQL vulnerabilities and the SQL injection. And next, please. So let's discuss about the platform, language, and the tools to be used. We are mainly used virtual blocks and Linux Kali operating systems to make progress on our work. Additionally, the data is stored and accessed using the database management systems like MSQL and PostgreSQLs. So, and we are mainly going to discuss about the SQL maps, how we are used, and how it made our progress to be much better, and finding and accessing the databases. So, further, my teammates will continue on this topic. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Sharanya. Thank you, Gautam, for introducing the project. And I'm going to explain about how can I implement our project in future. So, the implementation of a project in future, we have few steps that we have to follow for that. Define the project's requirement and select the right technologies and tools. Create and build the application and test the application. And there are two more. What are the program deployment and maintain and update the application? First of all, I want to go through define the project's requirements. Coming to this, determine the project goals and specifications first, and determine the required scope on the system and functions of it. Next one, select the right technologies and tools. Coming to this, choose the programming language, platform, and tools to be utilized. Based on this project, we need, as previously indicated, a database management system like MySQL and may be used in a combination with tools like SQL Map and Nmap and Metasploit. Coming to the create and build application, we have to use the platform and programming language of your choice and create the application further. So next, the implementation of the features necessarily for accessing the database, we are going to detect and exploit the SQL injection vulnerabilities. Test the application. Make sure the application is extensively tested or whether it operates unexpected and it satisfies the project requirements. Unless it utilizes software such as AppScan or any other to conduct both manual and automated testing. Next, coming to the program deployment, first of all, we have to install the program in the intended environment, making sure that all safety precautions are taken or prevent unauthorized access. Next, maintain and update the application. So, in this, we have to keep the application to be safe and functioning. And next, maintain and update it often. Keep an eye on vulnerabilities and update the program accordingly. Coming to the next slide. Uh, in this slide, we are going to show design and illustration of SQL injection attack. First of all, in an SQL injection attack, the attacker exploits the vulnerabilities in an application's input validation to inject SQL code. Next, into the application's query, this SQL code can be used to steal sensitive information from the database. So next, in the above diagram shows that the application communicates with the database to retrieve and manipulate the data. However, the attacker is able to intercept this communication and inject the SQL code into the query. This allows them to bypass any security measures and gain unauthorized access to the database. And one more thing, to prevent SQL injection attacks, it is very important to properly sanitize and validate all user inputs before using SQL queries. Therefore, I'm going to say this additionally, using a prepared statements or parameterized queries can help protect against SQL injections by separating the SQL injections and the query logic from the user input. So next slide, I'm going to explain about the working model. In this working model, SQL injection attack work by exploiting vulnerabilities in an application's input validation process. So here, how the attack typically works. Coming to this, the attacker identifies an application that is vulnerable to SQL injection. This can be done through various like such as using automated scanners or manually inspecting the application source code. So next, the attacker then sends the input to the application, such as specially crafted SQL queries. The input is designed to exploit a vulnerability in the application's input validation process. Here, the application does not properly validate and sanitize the input, but it will execute the query, and if it were a legitimate one, this can allow the attacker to perform various actions on the database. So here, such as reading sensitive data, modifying or deleting a data, or even taking control to the entire system. So here, once the attacker has gained access to the database, they can use this access to steal sensitive information. So here, cause damage to the system. For example, a simple SQL injection attack. Suppose there is an application that uses the following SQL query to retrieve or user's account information based on the username. First of all, we have to select the application taken user input to the username parameter, but does not properly sanitize or validate it. So here, attacker could exploit this vulnerability by entering the following input to the username as 1 is equals to 1 or any other. So next, coming slides is going to explain by my friend.
Hello, this is Bhargav, and here I'm explaining how to log in into Kali Linux. Here first we next slide please. Here first we need to enter the username and password, and then we need to check our IP address for logging into the web page, and we need to select the multi-lead, and then we log into the Kali Linux by giving our user ID and password. And the coming slides will be explained by my friend. So the working model is based on the steps, like we are logging into Metasploitable machine by using the username and password. And then we need to check for the IP address, and then we need to open the web page, and then we need to select the multi-day in that. And after selecting the multi-day, we need to logging into the Kali Linux by using your ID and password. Yeah, that's next slides will be explained by my friend.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Akanksha. I will be explaining the remaining part of the slides. By using the IP address that is given here, that is 192.168.1.211, Multidie will open a new web page where we need to enter the username and password. This is like a demo, but usually what happens is any weak website can be hacked. Once the user enters the username and password, we will be able to see all those details uh, in the IP address. Like I have entered the username and password as admin, and the password is also as admin, and that will be shown. As it is another operating system that's running into it, it will take little time. However, I've taken the screenshots when I was working with the working model. So we need to enter the username and password in the Kali Linux, and we need to first check if MySQL has been installed or not by giving the command as SQL map. If you can see here, I have given the command as SQL map, and it shows that SQL map is installed in the machine. And after installing the SQL map, the IP address that we have got from the Metasploitable machine, that needs to be entered in Kali Linux, and it will ask for a set of commands, and you need and request, because the SQL and PostgreSQL commands will be running in the backend. SQL injections will be inserted, and few are injectable. So I have entered yes for all the questions that has been asked, and it takes time to run all this. And behind the website, we will be able to see what are the contents behind the website. Like the website that I have designed, by entering the DBMS, we can see that it has features, guestbook, pictures, products, and users. We can furthermore put in commands like accurate and MySQL, and you will be able to see everything in detail. So this is how the a page looks like. This for a particular user, we will also be able to see all the details here. Now coming to the advantages and limitations. The advantages would be by automating the process of discovering SQL injection vulnerabilities, solutions like SQL map, and it saves time. The project may avoid future security breaches and data loss by discovering SQL injection issues. The project's use of database can aid in testing and confirming the accuracy. The initiative can shed light on database flaws and vulnerabilities. There are few limitations for these projects, and it might not be successful against all SQL injections because cybersecurity has been growing, and all the apps and all the websites are being more secured. To stay current with new vulnerabilities and security concerns, the project could need frequent upgrades. The project can be available by to non-experts because it calls for extensive technical and proficiency. And the next slides will be explained by the team member. Thank you.
Hi, this is Hemant. So this slide is about the effective and bad defense in the implementation. Like effective in the sense, what are the steps that we are going to do to make the system effective? So one of the solution is like we need to an effect we need to check thoroughly. Like every second, we need to check our the is there any vulnerability or not. So it comes under the effective, and the bad defense is like after detecting the vulnerability, are we going to do any prevention methods or not? If it fails to do the prevention, it comes under the bad defense. The next slide is about the low and high impact. Like the low impact is like the attacker will at- will try to encrypt the data, but he might get only a some amount of data, like the names, which are not that much useful. It comes under the low impact attack. And high impact attack is like he is able to decrypt the code, and he might get all the sensitive data. So it comes under the high impact attack. The next slide is like this slide questions us like, is encryption working correctly only in certain type of cases? For this, encryption can be used successful in most of the circumstances, but there are several cases where it might not. Like one of the example is an attacker may able to decode the encrypted data if the encryption key is weak or easily. If the key is predictable, he might easily encrypt the data. And like that, there are few more scenarios. At last, I want to say like encryption is useful security precaution in many situations, but it shouldn't be dependent upon as the only way to defend against all kind of assaults. So this is a project. Thank you so much.
Thank you.